Hey YouTube, today I'm talking about Full Shift, a YA graphic novel written by Jennifer Dugan and illustrated by Kit Seaton. Full Shift follows Tessa, a teenage werewolf at odds with herself in regards to both the supernatural and human world. There's a turbulence in her character and a weariness towards fully embracing either end of her life. A large focus of the book is on Tessa's inner turmoil and conflict regarding her feelings on lycanthropy or being a werewolf.
Look out, guys. Don't catch fleas.
What's that, mate?
This idea is further shown when she's compared to members of her family or her pack. Her younger sister, Kylie, exemplifies the opposite of Tessa, sustaining her roles as both an ideal human and effective werewolf. Kylie is very much a foil character for Tessa. Others, like Tessa's mother, the pack leader Mac, and the general community of werewolves, are very much a reminder of Tessa's own insecurities, as well as visual representations of the expectations and obligations of her community. On the human side of Tessa's life is her best friend Maddie. They've been close since they were kids, and Maddie and Tessa's relationship serves as the catalyst for the first hurdle of the story. Maddie is a journalist and has kind of a Lois Lane thing going on, being both comfortable and curious towards seeking answers, ultimately regardless of dangers. Other than Maddie though, Tessa has a limited experience with humans, with the expectation seeming to be that werewolves keep most groups, whether human or other monsters, at arm's length. Enough to blend in, but not enough to be overly social, and never enough to spoil their secrets. Because of this, Tessa feels ostracized for a good portion of the book, and ultimately struggles with alienation within every facet of her life. Her mental health is a consistent trial across the story, and in some ways is as much a blight on her mental and emotional well-being as the ensuing main antagonists are on her physical well-being and that of her community. Speaking of ensuing antagonists, what is the plot of Full Shift? This book can really be broken down into two major storylines. The first is Maddie finding out about Tessa and the other werewolves. This happens because of a miscommunication between the girls. Tessa thought Maddie was going to come out as a monster or a witch or whatever, and in actuality, Maddie was just planning on coming out as bisexual. This creates two major issues for Tessa, one being the obvious fact that she isn't supposed to give away her family's biggest secret, and the second is that she instantly wrecks the closest relationship she has with anyone outside of her family. Neither of the girls take the situation well, and over the course of the remainder of the book, we see them try, fail, and try again to adjust the situation, their feelings for each other, and how to handle things moving forward. Maddie also gives the reader a way into learning about the werewolves of the book, and there is certainly a lot to learn. I would put them more towards Twilight or Monster High werewolves, more so than your traditional horror monster. This isn't an American Werewolf in London. Their shapeshifting definitely feels more magical than body horror adjacent. We see that they like to hunt, have a healing factor, and identify their wolf side and their human side as somewhat separate entities, although they're encouraged to embrace both sides of themselves to the point that they work symbiotically. The second half of the book focuses more heavily on werewolf elements, with Tessa's pack learning about potential werewolf hunters in the area. Plot thickens when Tessa and the other wolves learn of a potential cure being developed by the hunters. This is super appealing to Tessa, and she decides to track down the hunters in order to cure her lycanthropy. She seeks out Maddie and strong-arms her into helping find out more about the hunters, where they are, and what they're doing. Skipping ahead a lot here in order to not give away every little aspect of this book, the cure ends up not being real, and Tessa accidentally endangers Maddie and her family when the hunters begin suspecting Maddie as the werewolf. Tessa and Maddie are eventually captured, and it's up to Tessa and the other wolves to stop the hunters. Which, this is a YA book, so I feel like you can guess what happens.
Fuck off to a tree.
Hey, werewolves, not swearwolves.
Yeah, I know.
Werewolves,
Well,
not
on
swearwolves.
transformation
Yeah.
night, it's alright, I'm getting stressed out.
But the wolves win the day. The story itself is wrapped up with a nice bow too, with Maddie and Tessa ending up together, the hunters defeated, and most of the community never learning anything about the supernatural war that was happening. I found Full Shift to be a pretty fun read overall. Although not my favorite take on werewolves, it is a pretty fun, easy, modern interpretation. Tessa herself wasn't that interesting of a character, at least not to me, which is a shame because because I do feel like I should have had stronger feelings for her. The book gives a lot of reasons for her to be interesting, especially in regards to some of the reasoning behind her emotional strife. It feels like a big spoiler to tell you details, but she lost someone really important to her via what I think was an interesting way to employ werewolf powers, and that becomes a cornerstone for both her unease with the wolf side of herself and also her distrust of the gift of lycanthropy. Still, I do think teen readers, which is who this book is really meant for, will probably like her. Tessa is, at the end of the day, an angsty teen with a lot of emotions going on that really should be in therapy, but whose family seems to think the best option is for her to waste away in her bedroom, while also aggressively telling her that she should get out of her bedroom. I'm probably being a bit unfair and harsh here, but yeah, Maddie was probably my favorite character, and I found her and Tessa's relationship to be turbulent at best, but ultimately nice enough. And while I thought theirs was just okay, someone else might really enjoy it. Your understanding of the intent and tone of the book could be different than mine, and that's okay. You might really like it. Anyway, I think the book was alright. I found Full Shift at my local comic book shop on one of the shelves with the staff recommendations, so I didn't really know what to expect going into it. Overall, it's nothing groundbreaking or super new in terms or expectations for werewolves, but I don't think that's a negative. If I had to give a really harsh criticism, I'd say that it feels like it was written to be pitched as a TV show or a movie, like there should be a little "as seen on Netflix" sticker on the cover. I know that for some people that might sound like a biting or rude thing to say, but I think a lot of modern comics are written that way, and honestly, if that's what the creators are going for, I hope they can get their bag. I do think the art is really nice in Full Shift, especially because werewolves can come in such a variety of ways. I do love how they're interpreted in Full Shift. I think it is very befitting of the tone and the genre of the book itself. They go with a anthro and full wolf option, something that's definitely a popular depiction in a lot of newer werewolf media. Tessa herself can't fully turn into a wolf for most of the book, but pretty much everyone else can. We see her with a lot of different stages, like with claws, teeth, and occasional fur, but characters like her sister Kylie do seem to prefer the full wolf option. It's clear that a lot of care went into the designs overall, whether wolf or human. I particularly like Tessa's wolf cut hairstyle and how character designs do such a solid job at visual shorthand. Colors were also great, with a good mix of simplistic gradients and also super detailed backgrounds. Stylistically, it feels young and modern in both the writing and the visuals, with the visual style feeling particularly specific to current internet culture. While this could arguably age the book, I like to think of it more as a time capsule for what the style and what's popular in the now. I've read comics before that felt dated before they were even really old, and this does not feel that way, at least not to me. At the end of the day, Full Shift is a fun enough werewolf story with a fairly specific demographic in mind. It has an LGBTQ romance and enough plot going on to keep young readers invested. While I wouldn't say it's revolutionizing the werewolf genre, I don't think it has to. If you're a fan of this sort of story, I think you'll like it. And if you're hoping for a more traditional monster versus hunters or ginger snaps-esque story, you might be disappointed. While there is mild gore and violence, and it does harken back to some traditions or myths of lycanthropy, the book at the end of the day feels more like a CW show than the next Wolfman movie. At least that's what I think. Have you read Full Shift or heard it? Would you want to check it out? Let me know. I may have been a bit harsher than this book deserves, but I would love to hear what you think. I'll link to the book in the description, as well as links to the creators. Anyways, thanks YouTube. Have a good night. If this video sounds weird, I tried a different microphone than usual, but yeah, this might have to be the microphone I use from now on because I think my old one has bitten the dust, so hopefully it sounds okay enough. Anyways, have a good night.